Hi guys, GloryHunter back, and let's talk about E3 2017. So I've just finished watching the last of the conferences from E3, finishing with the Sony conference. I've watched most of them. I've watched, obviously, started off with the Microsoft one, watched the Ubisoft one, the EA, the Bethesda, and the Sony one. So we're going to go through my thoughts of the conferences, the games shown, stuff that's coming out. I'm not a games journalist or anything. These are purely my own thoughts, my own opinions on stuff that I'm interested in that's coming out, and my general thoughts on what I thought of all the conferences. So let's take a look at what we got this year. So I started off with the Microsoft conference. It wasn't bad. It wasn't overwhelmingly good, although I did think it was probably better than Sony's this year. Last year Sony obliterated Microsoft. It was far better. This year I think Microsoft's was maybe a little bit better. I'm not sure. Neither of them were spectacularly amazing. But stuff that we did get from the Microsoft one. First of all, the Xbox Project Scorpio has now been given its official name, Xbox One X. So that's been coming out. It showed you the specs. I'm not massively knowledgeable on specs, so they're just numbers to me. Obviously, it's the most powerful console. How good that actually is, I don't know. We'll see. First of all, the I suppose disappointing thing, but something that wasn't too surprising. We didn't get to see any Halo or any, obviously, Gears of War. The two main standout Microsoft titles weren't there at all, which is a bit of a shame, but I kind of weren't expecting them either. It does mean they usually announce them at E3, so we've got to wait probably another year at least for them to be announced, and then another year or two before they even come out, so we're way off them yet, which is a bit of a shame. But we did get, it started off with the traditional Forza 7, not too interested in it. They unveiled a new Porsche car, not a car fan. It did look alright, but yeah, they always kind of start off with that. I've got a load of notes, so bear with me while I go through them, because there was a lot to cover. Obviously, whether you get the Xbox X or don't get the Xbox X, a lot of games were announced with free 4K upgrades. So obviously, like your Gears of War and things like that, you will be getting a free upgrade on your console. So whether you've got a 4K TV or not, they're going to look better. That kind of stuff. So 42 games were shown or announced. 22 of them were exclusive to the Xbox. So that's a massive number. A lot of them I weren't too interested in. But there was a big range of games, something for everyone, from fighters, beaters, shooters, RPGs, adventures, and just a whole range of games. So that's good to see that there's a lot of different stuff coming out. So there's something for everyone. So we had started off with Metro Exodus. Do you like the Metro series? It did look very good. So quite interested for that. Definitely will be picking that up at some point. Obviously Assassin's Creed Origins, something that got leaked and spoiled ages ago. Everyone knew it was coming out. It's obviously set in Egypt. Some of the good stuff to show. You get to control the eagle this time to fly around the map and kind of pick out like guards and opportunities, that kind of stuff from afar, and scout out the area that you're possibly going to attack, and then obviously take it from there. So that was pretty cool. We got an RPG kind of style weapon system, so you can loot items off enemies and such, and get better like bows and equipment. So you might have a bow that does say 12 damage, then you can find one that does 15 damage, that kind of thing. So it builds up. Kind of interesting for Assassin's Creed game. I'm not sure how it's going to work. Obviously it's the first time I've had this kind of system in Assassin's Creed game. But it looked okay. It did have a nice slow-mo bow shot in the trailer, which is pretty cool. So usually, say you're in a tree or such, you got an enemy below you, and usually you'd have an assassinate, so you jump down in slow motion with your dagger and kill them. That kind of looked like it was going to happen. He jumped out the tree. Instead of getting his dagger out, he kind of pulled his bow out in slow motion, drew his arrow, and shot the guard, all in slow motion, which looked pretty cool. So that was kind of interesting. I don't know if it would get annoying the 1000th time you've done it, but yeah, it looked good. Then we had Battlegrounds announced, which is, I believe, is a PC game at the minute. Reminded me a lot of the films, because I'm a big Japanese kind of film buff, of a film called Battle Royale and Battle Royale 2, which is a bunch of people on an island that have given various weapons or objects, and then the last person alive is obviously the winner, and they've kind of made that into a game. Looks interesting, good concept. Then we had a new one, again a kind of Japanese style game called Code Vein. Looked really good, kind of a hacky slashy game. Definitely going to look into that, worth checking out. We had a Super Lucky's Tale, which is, I suppose, kind of a kids platforming game. We had a new, I suppose, hero it's like a fox. And yeah, you go around platforming, collecting things, beating up enemies. So it's still a new kind of platform for kids or older kids to enjoy, if that's your thing. Obviously, Crackdown 3, got to see a little bit more. It was kind of introduced with Terry Crews as a kind of Crackdown soldier. It was quite good, quite funny. So yeah, more of that. Life is Strange 2 was announced. I've still not played the first one. I hear it's really good. I have got it. So we now have a sequel to that coming. Obviously, Shadow of War. I'd seen a lot of Shadow of War footage before this, but they showed you a lot more. Does look really good. The first game was awesome, so expecting a lot more this time. The kind of demo was more focused on building your army and then taking over garrisons, fortresses, and that kind of stuff. I don't know how the story kind of played out. The first one was very story based. Like you had your missions, you went on missions and did things. This kind of just seems like you're building an army for the sake of building an army to just take over things. So I don't know if that's just a sub part of the game or if that is just the game, if that makes sense. I'd like to see some more of the actual story and more missions, quests going on. But definitely keeping an eye out. Obviously, Ori 2 was announced. Again, beautiful looking game. Really does look good. I've not finished the first one yet. I think I'm quite near the end. I have enjoyed it, so to play more of that, again, good thing. Then we had the big kind of bombshell, if you like. They announced, obviously, it's been 2 years since they started backwards compatibility with the Xbox 360 to the Xbox One. And then they just, you can now play, or are going to play, original Xbox games on the Xbox One. That is amazing. It's awesome news for me, being an OG collector, and it's really now made me think about going for a full set of OG titles. They didn't really announce whether it's just going to be like download only, you can download some of the games, or if you can actually put the disc in the console and play it. None of that was kind of explained. I'm hoping you can put the disc in, because got a massive library growing, so that'd be great to play on the OG Xbox, on the new Xbox One. It also got announced, I think slightly after, that you can system link all Xbox consoles together to play multiplayer games. So your OG Xbox, your Xbox 360, your Xbox One, and also the new Xbox One X can all be system linked to play the same multiplayer game in a massive LAN party. So that's pretty cool. Obviously I have 3 of the systems already, so that's 3 link ups. Get a load of friends around, play some great multiplayer. So that's good news. Really happy about that. And they ended on a kind of a new IP from, I think it was EA, a game called Anthem. Now this looks stunning. It looks absolutely amazing. Just on graphical scale, and gameplay looks really fun. It had 4 players at least co-op. Now, the thing that worried me a little bit is it started to look a little bit like Destiny. I don't want it to go the way of Destiny. because it just got a bit repetitive and boring in the end, for me personally. So we need to see a bit more, see what the actual gameplay is. I said it's an open world game, so hopefully it'll just be the four of you going around doing missions, finding stuff, killing stuff. That'd be great. Like I say, they had a good showcase of the game. It looks awesome, so definitely keep an eye out for that as one to look forward to. And that was pretty much it for the Microsoft conference for me. There was obviously a lot of other stuff I'm not going to cover that I'm probably not interested in. So let me know your thoughts on them. It did get a release date as well for the new Xbox, and that is November 7th, so that'll be coming out then. It was about 400 and something pounds, I think it worked out at. It's going to come out at like 450 or something, or I don't know. If it's any good, I'll wait for at least a price drop or two. I've got plenty to get on with. So, then I watched the Ubisoft press conference. It was okay. Started off with Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle. So they've teamed up with obviously Nintendo. We've got Mario and the Mario characters and the Raven Rabbids characters in a kind of platformy strategic battle system game. Even as a game without the whole Mario thing, it looks pretty good, to be fair. Like the whole teaming up with your buddies to do various attacks, getting around the map, looks pretty good. And obviously you've got the added bonus of them being Mario characters in the game. They do show quite a lot of the characters, so that looks interesting. If that's your thing. They showed obviously South Park, the Fractured But Whole. So the sequel to the first South Park game, which was awesome, great RPG. They also had a mobile South Park game coming out as well. Then we had a game called Skull and Bones, which is basically just the pirating ship combat from Assassin's Creed made into a full game of just taking on a pirate ship, taking on other people's pirate ships, and not necessarily going on ventures, but collecting loot and having the multiplayer battles and stuff. It did look kind of okay. Yeah, we'll see. Then there was a game announced called Starlink, which I think was just an excuse to sell more figures. And you kind of had these ships that you put on your controller, and I don't know if it's a flight sim or what. I think it's just, a way to sell more figures and what have you. So probably be staying away from that. Far Cry 5 obviously had a bit of a demo. I love the Far Cry series and the Far Cry games. I'm not really sold on this one yet. I'm obviously going to look into it a bit more, watch some more footage. I don't know if it's the setting that's putting me off. I don't know what it is. Yeah, it's another Far Cry. I need something to really to grab me this time, I suppose. After, I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully, something will take my fancy, and I'll be like, oh yeah, need that now. But at the minute, I will probably get it, but it's not a necessary day one purchase at the minute. Then, obviously, we had the massive trailer. The trailer was funny, it looked good, and then it was announced, obviously, Beyond Good and Evil 2. Looks awesome. I think it's going to be a prequel to Beyond God. It's going to be a prequel to Beyond Good and Evil. You play it looked like you play as kind of a chimp with this robotic or metal arm which you can fire out like a claw. It looked good. It was funny. So we didn't see any actual gameplay. A lot of just obviously FMV footage, movie footage, cinematics. But it's announced, it's coming, so that's a good thing. And obviously they showed more Assassin's Creed stuff. More on the enemies, again with the RPG elements, with enemies having levels, and obviously you going up in levels. Again, something I'm not sure is going to work in an Assassin's Creed game. You go into a garrison, you were level 20, and the enemies were level 20. They were fine, you could fight them. Then they went to a garrison with level 25 enemies, and you tried to headshot one with a bow, and obviously only took a little bit of health off. And it's like, but you're an assassin, you've shot him in the head with an arrow, and he's barely done any damage. That, for me, doesn't really work in an Assassin's Creed game when your sole purpose is to be an assassin, killing people. If you hit them in the head with a bow, they should die. So we'll see how that plays out. Yeah, it still looked good. The graphics look amazing. The map was massive. So yeah, that's coming out October 27th. A lot of games coming out in October, November. Again, obviously the big months for games. So we're going to be seeing a lot of stuff coming out. Then we had EA. Didn't really see much in EA. Obviously, I'm not a massive sports fan, so all the sports stuff they showed I kind of skipped through. We did have a Way Out game kind of announced. A purely, I suppose, co-op game where you start off, it looks in prison, and you have to try and escape or break out of prison and then do various things. It reminded me a lot of like a Kane and Lynch kind of scenario or game style. Or style's not really the word, but yeah, that's the kind of vibe I got from it. You can play it in various different ways, and they were saying it's just a split screen couch co-op game, but then they were saying you could play it online, which didn't make sense. But we'll see. It kind of looked okay, a bit of fun with a friend to blast through, so that's alright. The only other thing really got from the EA conference was obviously Star Wars Battlefield 2. I've not properly played the first one yet. They did announce that the DLC that's coming out is going to be free, so extra characters and that kind of stuff. No paid content, which from EA is surprising and hopefully a good thing. It's obviously now got a story mode, so everyone that was calling out for a story mode from Star Wars Battlefield has now got that. They said they listened to the fans a lot, and a lot of stuff that they requested is going to be in the game, and they've worked towards improving and fixing. So, see how that turns out. Then watch the Bethesda conference. A lot of good stuff shown, but nothing really new, if that makes sense. So, started off with the VR announcement of Doom and Fallout 4, so you can play them games in VR mode if you have a VR headset. Also, Skyrim announced on the Nintendo Switch, so that's kind of good to see. You know, the game's getting on a bit now, but to have another kind of decent-ish game on the Switch is always a good thing. There's not much out on the Switch at the moment, so it's nice to see some more games coming out for it, even if it's an older game. And obviously, it's a game that Nintendo don't really have on their console, so it's nice to be bringing that to them now as well, so you get to play that awesome AAA title. Obviously, Dishonored, I suppose, 3 was announced. The Death of the Outsider or something like that. I'm a Dishonored fan. I like the franchise, so be interested to see where that goes. The trailer didn't say, obviously didn't see any gameplay, just a big cutscene which looked interesting. Then we had Evil Within 2. I loved the Evil Within game when it came out. It was absolutely awesome and terrifying as hell. So to get a sequel to this new IP is good as well. It's nice to see they're pushing it. It looked grisly. It looked awesome. So really looking forward to that. That's a big one for me. And obviously we had a Wolfenstein 2 trailer as well. Like the reboot of the Wolfenstein game. It was really good. Visually good looking. Again, looking forward to that. Just look interesting. So, and that was about it for Bethesda. No, obviously, Elder Scrolls new game. Obviously, we had some kind of outside online content within the new Morrowind and that kind of stuff. And there was a new, I think, card game coming out. And obviously, no Fallout announcements. We weren't really expecting any, I don't think. So that was about it, really. Then on to the Sony's announcement, the PlayStation stuff. Started off really bad. The sound, they messed up. It wasn't until about the third game, halfway through, that they got the sound sorted out. So the first two titles, which were big games, and the sound was terrible, so you can't really hear what was going on. So they messed up a bit. But we started off with the new Uncharted game, which now has it looks like a female heroine. I don't know where it's set in the Uncharted universe, where it falls with the others. I don't know. I've only played the first one a little bit and the second one a little bit. The games I am interested in playing, they do look good. It's a shame that the sound let it down to fully get it from the demo. Then we had an Horizon kind of announcement. It wasn't clear to me anyway if it was a sequel or a DLC pack for the original. It was still called Horizon Zero Dawn, and then I can't remember, Winter's War, Winter's Tale, I don't know. So I don't know if that was a full-on sequel. It kind of looked like it, but it wasn't clear. Didn't see too much of it, but again, the sound let it down. Then went on to Days Gone, and about a quarter way through this, they got the sound sorted out, so it was a lot better. This game obviously was announced last year at E3. It was one I was looking at, and they showed a lot more this time with a lot of gameplay. It was all gameplay. It looked good. It's one I'm definitely interested in looking at getting when it's my PS4 out. Then they had Monster Hunter World trailer with a lot of gameplay, but the editing was awful. Absolutely dreadful. It was just hacked together with the guy just walking around random places and then just snap into him doing just other things, but not even in a good way. It was dreadful editing. Like, they didn't do it justice at all. But then when they did get to the big kind of almost T-Rex style monster and he was fighting that, it looked interesting. It looked okay if you're into the Monster Hunter series. So that's something new coming. Then they had Shadow of the Colossus. Again, it wasn't really clear if this is just an HD upgrade or remake or if it's going to be a kind of sequel. I've never really played the original Shadow of the Colossus. It looked like it had the same bosses or Colossuses in it, so it's probably just an HD remake or full remake of the game. It looks awesome, just like the original. So obviously, I've not played that. It'd be nice to play this. If it is a remake, play the remake. That looks pretty good. And then they just showed a lot of VR stuff. If you've got a VR headset, then there's probably a few titles you might want to pick up just to have something else to play on the VR. However, if you don't have a VR headset, there was nothing really to grab you to say, now I need a VR headset. Like, stuff we'd already seen, like obviously the Skyrim VR, and I've literally not long just finished watching it, and I can't even remember most of the titles. They weren't very memorable. There was a shooter and a platformer or something. I don't know. Yeah, there was nothing still that makes me want to go out and grab a VR headset, which is a bit of a shame because it's something I'd like to experience and get into. But again, still holding off on that. Then obviously the big God of War trailer looks awesome. Just a lot of gameplay, a lot of the combat mechanics and stuff. Does look really good, so that's definitely something I'm looking out for. Then the new IP, Detroit, where you play as kind of an android, building up an android revolution. Looks very interesting, a lot of choices to be made, whether you want to go like full aggro anger, be a pacifist, and anything in between, I suppose. It showed one scene where the police are coming to get you and you've got the choice of running away, hiding, or kind of blending in somehow. So again, looks interesting. Nice to see some new IPs, new games coming out. Definitely something to keep an eye on. Destiny 2, didn't really show much, just that announced it and some kind of story plot, if it has one this time. After the big almost letdown of the first one, I did enjoy playing it, and I do enjoy going back to it now and then, but it just gets so repetitive and boring after a while. I just don't play it for ages. So I'm hoping this one brings a bit more to it. We'll see. Then they finished off with almost their big kind of exclusive, if you like, which was the Spider-Man game. Yeah, it looked good. As for a big kind of reveal or showcase piece, not so much. I'm a big Marvel fan. I like Spider-Man. The game looks awesome. Seem to have a lot of button prompts, almost like it's just quick time events all the time. Like, oh, you have to press R1 now, you have to press L1 now, blah blah blah. And that's all it seemed to be, rather than you letting you kind of choose. But I don't know, until we get more info, we'll see how that goes. Yeah, it looked interesting. It did look good. It did look good. And something I would probably get and play. We just, I think, need more info and see a bit more gameplay. Is it a free roaming world? Can you just go around and do things? Or a lot of people saying it's looks a lot like the kind of Batman Arkham games meets Uncharted kind of thing. So a bit more linear way of playing the game, which for a Spider-Man game, we'll see how it works if that's the case. I don't know. But yeah, it looked interesting, and we'll wait and see. So that was it for my kind of E3 breakdown. My thoughts and opinions, games I'm looking forward to coming out. Some good stuff announced, some good titles coming out. The Bethesda stuff they announced are all coming out this year. So it will all be with us October, November time. So that's good to see, rather than waiting years and years like some of the other games we've got to wait for. So there's plenty of stuff coming out this year for us to grab hold of and get and burn our wallets with. So I hope you've enjoyed this. Let me know your thoughts and your own opinions on stuff that was announced at the E3 this year. What was your favourite titles announced? What are you going to be picking up? Anything I missed? There's a lot of stuff I missed. Was anything that caught your eye as well? Who do you think gave the best press conference? Don't want to start a console war or anything, you know. I like them all equally. It's just sometimes one does better than the other. Last year Sony did better. This year I think Microsoft did a little bit better. Again, neither of them were massively spectacular, but there was some good stuff coming out. So hit a like if you've enjoyed this. Subscribe for future videos. We'll be doing more stuff like this, as well as my pickups. And yeah, thanks to all the new subscribers that have entered the channel. Good to see you guys. And I guess we'll see you in the next one. Take care, guys. See you later.